Bada bing, bada boo.
There has been a crime in the workplace, and Tim Dickey, the man in charge, has to figure out what the hell is going on. He's got to investigate. He's sitting down with everybody. Anybody that's heard or potentially saw anything, he's sitting across from them because all of these people could be witnesses one day. And they all tell him the same thing. Well, everyone talks about them having an inappropriate relationship. Okay, I see. I mean, have you seen anything with your own eyes, or is it just a rumor that you're hearing from everyone, your peers? Well, I've heard a lot from a lot of others that they're dating. It's pretty clear, though, that she has the power and she favors him. He barely puts in any work and he gets all the rewards. Honestly, it's a pretty gross, massive power imbalance, to say the least. Another person tells Tim Dickey along the lines of, I've heard that they met up after hours, that they have these secret meetings in the night in her car. It's all very hush-hush. But the worst part is, I've heard the rumor that she's actually pregnant. Others say that's not even the worst part. It actually does indeed get worse. They say that they've heard rumors that sometimes he would stand behind her desk and she would pretend to go under her desk to look for something. Oops, I dropped my pencil, crawl down there, and in front of everybody else in the room, she would, quote, touch his stuff. Not to mention some of the notes found in her desk that he allegedly wrote. One just reads, "You're sexy." Another reads, "I want you. Let's smash." 6 feet long. Whatever that means. The witnesses' statements are pretty consistent, but Tim Dickey thinks, well, what if they're too consistent? It's a little too convenient, right? I mean, he thinks all the stories kind of sound similar, like they're all just rumors that people have been circulating from desk to desk, but has anybody actually seen anything? It's time to bring in the suspect. They bring in 27-year-old Brittany Zamora. She walks into Tim Dickey's office. She's sitting at the other end of his desk, and there's already tears just streaming down her face. It does not appear that she's having a good time. Listen, Tim, please. There are really only 2 things in this world that I care about, and it's my husband and my career. That's it. Tim Dickey is smiling because that makes sense. And she was like one of the first people he hired since he got the job running this place. And she did win the 2016 County Teacher of the Year Award.
Welcome to practice. This is where all you noobs become yellow turds. Yeah.
There's no way she's essaying and her 13-year-old student in a class full of kids, right?
What?
There's no way she has an 11-year-old boy standing lookout while she essays his best friend in her classroom. Even if Tim Dickey doesn't believe it, the least he can do is alert the 13-year-old student's parents, correct? Instead, Tim Dickey sits all the other students down that have reported the inappropriate behavior. He says, "Thank you all for coming to me with what you've been hearing in the hallways. But do you know how dangerous rumors can be? You can ruin someone's career with these types of rumors." And he scolds all the students for spreading rumors, and it gives Brittany enough time to target her next potential victim, an 11-year-old. This is the case of Brittany Zamora and what happens when the victim's parents find out and when Brittany's own husband finds out. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, also known as NCMEC. They focus on finding missing children, reducing child sexual exploitation, and the prevention of child victimization. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. Disclaimers, today's case has mentions of grooming and CSA. Please watch with caution. The names of the minors have also been, of course, protected and changed. So with that being said, these are all pseudonyms except for the perpetrators and the adults. Let's get started. Do you know what the pre-divorce stage is? It's when you see 2 people in a relationship, in a marriage, and you know that they're going to get divorced. They just haven't filed divorce yet. They might not even know that they're going to get divorced, but you just feel it in your bones. They are in a stage of pre-divorce. My biggest thing is, I guess it's very difficult to say if you can see when couples are going to get divorced. Everybody's different. But when they are incredibly mean to each other in front of people, I feel like a pre-divorce is happening. One netizen says, "Oh, my pre-divorce signal is even stronger." He's older now. He's seen all these couples come and go. And he says, when I see a divorce coming, and this is not 100% of the time, obviously there's exceptions, don't get upset, people. But he says, when the couple decide out of nowhere, it's not like a big anniversary. It's not their 50th anniversary, 40th, 20th, 25th. Out of nowhere, the couple decide randomly to have an over-the-top vow renewal. Massive ceremony, celebration. It feels like they distract themselves by planning the event. And then after the last guest leaves, party is over. They go back to reality. The marriage is shitty, divorce incoming in like 6 months.
What?
Yeah. And he's saying obviously there's exceptions of people who have anniversaries or have been planning it for a long time, or they had a life-altering moment where someone was diagnosed with something and then recovered. Those are different.
Yeah.
He's saying like so random.
Okay.
Another one said, oh, I was at a wedding and I knew. This was pre-divorce at the wedding. The groom was making a toast to the bride, you know, the woman that he's marrying. And he talked about how he initially didn't like her because she never shut up. But now she's learning to, quote, put a sock in it. And then he jokingly turned and then air backhanded her face. Like not actually hit her on the face, but like in the air. Pretended to hit her.
That is wild.
To the guest's credit, nobody laughed. There's just awkward, deafening silence. They got divorced 2 months after the wedding. One Redditor states that she knew her divorce was coming pretty early on. She says, well, my husband smashed cake into my face at the wedding, even though I begged him for months prior not to. He also introduced me as his first wife at our reception party for our wedding to everybody. He thought it was hilarious. We divorced over the summer, and I am so much happier. Another Redditor says, oh yeah, when you can tell your marriage is coming to an end, it's pretty easy. You drive home from work, you come around the corner, and if you see your partner's car in the driveway and feel sad or disappointed, that's the sign you need. Another ex-wife said, oh, mine was weirder. Right after the wedding, I moved in. And the thermostat that controls the temperature, he put a password on it, and he wouldn't let me have the password.
Wow.
For Daniel, the signs were probably a lot more obvious, but he just sped right past them. They went over his head. Daniel, maybe he likes all the signs. I don't know, which is more alarming. Because the pre-divorce, other people saw a pre-divorce. He didn't see anything. He just gets served divorce papers out of nowhere after everything that they've been through from their proposal. Daniel even wrote this long, sappy message to Brittany online about it. He writes, from the moment we first saw each other, we have been falling for one another. So it was only appropriate to ask Brittany to marry me while falling. He proposed this whilst on a skydiving trip. And now after 4 years of marriage, she wants to divorce him. She wants to hit him with divorce papers while she's in jail. Seriously? Brittany states to the courts that she would like to separate from her husband because, quote, our marriage is beyond repair. It's broken and there is no hope of reconciliation. What defines that a marriage is broken beyond repair with no hope of reconciliation? A few years prior, Brittany hands Daniel the phone. This is when they're still married, still living together. Brittany's handing Daniel the phone, and on the other end of this phone is a very, very angry man. He says, put your husband on the phone. I'm more than happy to talk to that dumb motherfucker too. Daniel grabs the phone.
Hey, man.
Hey, don't say hey, man to me. You got a fucking monster. If I was you, you stupid motherfucker, I'd leave her.
So this man on the phone is telling Daniel to leave his wife, Brittany. Daniel's trying to reason with him.
Man, listen.
No, listen to me, you stupid motherfucker. I'll cave your stupid fucking head in. Do you want to? I'd love to put my hands on you. You are stupid.
Daniel is only briefly quiet before he says,
I mean, God preaches forgiveness, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna preach forgiveness when I put my hands on your throat, you stupid motherfucker.
I understand your pissed, man.
No, you don't get shit, you dumb fucking bitch.
I'll be the same way, man.
No, I would. Well, you better, like I said, do the smartest thing for you to fucking do, you stupid motherfucker. Do not incriminate yourself. Do me that favor. Leave her so your ass doesn't go down the drain with her. Your woman is a monster. Hey, fuck, you want me to tell you the whole fucking story? She had another 13-year-old in there watching the whole fucking thing. She's a monster. Do you understand that?
Daniel is on the phone, confronted with the fact that his wife Brittany was cheating on him. But he is also confronted with the fact that his wife is cheating on him by a 13-year-old student of hers. And the man screaming at him on the phone is the victim's father.
This is how he found out.
He claims he found out right before this phone call.
And he was like,
He said God preaches forgiveness. There is an app called Sentry, and it lets parents monitor their kids. It seems like kids don't know when it's installed. I mean, I'm sure you have to take their phone and install it. I don't know how it works. I mean, I guess it could be used for not parental controls. Just be careful. But it lets parents flag keywords. So if these keywords ever get searched on the internet or is sent via message, whether it's Facebook Messenger, Instagram direct messages, or text messages, it'll alert the parent. And it'll show them what platform, and it'll show them the message.
wow.
So you can flag words like baby or, other maybe drugs, right? John and his wife, they get Adam, their son, a new phone with this new app installed on their Sentry. And they give it to him because, I mean, honestly, they don't feel right about it. They were going back and forth. Do we install the app? Do we not install the app? We kind of feel bad about it, especially because he's 13. We're trying to give him space to still be a child, but make mistakes and learn and grow and have privacy. But Adam has been acting so weird recently. He doesn't even want to sleep with the door open. They have this whole family rule. Everybody sleeps with their door open. It doesn't have to be wide open. It's just like a crack. You just don't lock your door at night. But he's so upset by this. He's withdrawn during dinner time. He doesn't even want to talk to them. It's so sudden that they're like, something is going on. And if we don't figure out what, we can't help him. The stepmom has the parent version installed on her phone. And she put all the keywords in. And the day after installing the app, she's just getting ding, 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 ding. Her phone is blowing up. She said, so yesterday, I got the alert. I keep getting alerts back to back to back to back to back because the word baby kept getting used. The messages in question read, I guess kind of like any other 13-year-old relationship, flirting, I imagine. I don't particularly recall how I flirted when I was 13, but the messages read, WYD, what you doing? On the bus texting you. So Adam is texting, on the bus texting you. Oh my God, you're so cute, baby. I wish you could have stayed after with me. I know, I wish I could, baby. Heart emoji, heart emoji. The person responds, I wish I could hang out with you whenever we wanted. Adam responds, same. I think about it so much. I think about it so much too. Aw, baby, I know what you mean. You're all I think about. It's kind of giving like two 13-year-olds flirting. Mm-hmm. Another thread of messages read from Adam, you're mine. Yes, baby. Which again, I don't necessarily recall how I was flirting as a 13-year-old, and I'm sure per parent it's different how one feels about their kids sending these types of messages. I don't know, perhaps a child psychologist would know better if this is normal development to talk like this or not. But so far, it's not the most alarming thing in the world. But there's more messages that start to escalate and get increasingly stranger. A message from Adam reads, I need more redacted from you, heart. Now, these are obviously not redacted to Adam's parents, but it's redacted in the police records. But the parents have seen it. You can kind of fill in the blanks on what it says. The person receiving the message goes, question mark, you okay? Sorry, baby, my parents called me. Ugh, I thought you got in trouble. I GTG do chores. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. The person responds, ILY, heart. Okay, they're saying I love you. It seems like it's more serious 13-year-old relationship. It's getting a little more alarming. Then Adam receives a message. I want you too, baby. So bad. Whenever we can, I'm down. Heart. Like you for real get sexier to me every day. LOL.
Wait, who said this?
Whoever is sending this to Adam. Adam's stepmom says, so I'm reading through the conversations, and I've done this before with other conversations of his as well, but this time at the bottom, she sees something at the bottom of the messages, and she's looking at it twice, 3 times, 479 times, because there is no way. I mean, there's just no way. The app Sentry will tell you what platform the messages are being sent from and what the account name is. So it just gives you your handle. So if it's on Facebook, it gives the handle. Or on Instagram, it gives the handle. At blah, blah, blah. And it's at Mrs.Zamora. Adam's 6th grade teacher through Instagram. So she's like, no. I mean, maybe it's just someone with the same name. Or like, how kids are. Maybe they'll make an account for their teacher and just mess around.
So she first only saw that he's flirting with someone.
Yes.
And she thought maybe this is just like a girlfriend.
Yes.
And when she saw that handle, that's when she realized, oh my gosh.
She's like, what the hell is going on?
Okay.
Then she goes on to Instagram and she checks that handle because she's like, again, it could just be an account. You can technically name your handle anything on Instagram. There's no law. She goes and it's the same spelling, same everything with the real account of Mrs. Zamora. And she knows this because she's messaged Mrs. Zamora too about homework before on Instagram. And the stepmom says, but what even more confirmed it was her first name was used in the conversation. So either she wrote it or he wrote it and they put, so the two were flirting and they wrote, Brittany, insert Adam's last name. Other messages read, what are you doing? Thinking about your sexy self. Heart emoji, heart emoji. And then Mrs. Zamora responds, "Aw, baby, I wish you were here with me." And she proceeds to send a video. And I don't know why Diddy is everywhere, but he's here too. She is pointing at her car stereo with the caption, "When the radio plays that good shit and it's Diddy's song, I Need a Girl." And the lyrics are, "I've had a lot of women in my lifetime, but see, it's not a lot of women that got the right mind. I've done a lot of pretty chicks with all the right features, cell phones and beepers. You know how to treat you. You break her heart, she'll walk out and leave you." Yeah.
Wow.
So immediately, Adam's stepmom is calling Adam's dad. "Husband, you got to do something. You got to come home. This is serious." He gets home. They confront Adam, and they even see that Mrs. Zamora had sent pictures of her private parts with her chest fully exposed, as well as below private parts, fully exposed, wearing black lingerie that is crotchless.
So the app also shows photos?
They confronted him. And they saw those photos. They tell Adam, "We need you to be completely honest right now. We already know the answers to everything we're going to ask. So we just need you to tell us the truth. Who are you talking to? And have you done anything with your teacher?" Adam quietly responds, "Yeah." He tells them that, remember that one time he brought home that permission slip to stay longer after school to set up posters for the talent show? That's when it happened. That's when his teacher essayed him. But it would happen several more times. So now, Adam is texting Brittany. "I want to F." Okay, it's redacted, but presumably, "I want to F. So bad, baby. Those times weren't enough for me." Adam sends the message and his dad is standing over his shoulder. The way that Adam's dad describes it, he says, "Sorry to use this language," he says that, "but you're going to text this bitch and you're going to trap her. You're going to make her tell me everything through these messages." Adam texts her that and she responds, "I want you, baby. I want you every day with no time limit. If I could quit my job and you all day, I would." Adam's dad probably takes over the phone at this point, I presume, and he sends another message. "I need more redacted from you. I'll give you whatever you want, baby." And with that, they're immediately calling the police. And they start getting these weird restricted calls. Soon after, like a few hours later, they keep getting restricted call, block number, unknown number, unknown number. And they're just sending them to voicemail because why are they getting these restricted calls out of nowhere?
What does that mean, restricted calls?
Like unknown number, unknown number, unknown number. Because you know when you get scam calls, they don't want it to say unknown number. They try to make it look like real numbers. But they keep getting literally unknown caller. Unknown caller. And they're like, this is so random.
But they're not answering.
They're not answering for the first few times. Finally, they pick up the fourth one, and it's Brittany Zamora. It appears maybe Adam had let her know that they had alerted the police or something, but she calls them. And Adam's dad is not messing around. He starts a conversation.
What type of fucking perverted person are you? I want to know right now. You are a fucking monster. You are a You're a child molester. Do you understand me?
Brittany, on the other end, has the audacity to say, why do you say that?
No.
Why do you say that?
Oh, see, I'm a lot smarter than you. I'm so much smarter than you. You do not understand how much smarter than you I am. I got you. I want you to know that now. I got you. Do me a favor. Do not call this number back again. The next time you'll hear from me will be in court. And make sure you let your husband know that you like 13-year-old boys and suck their dick. I want you to do me a favor. Do that for me, okay? I am coming for you.
Which, by the way, Adam's parents did like everything right in this. They did not say, oh, it's a boy's dream. They didn't do any of that. They didn't victim blame. They didn't victim shame. They didn't get upset with Adam. They took all the right steps. I think even in this phone call, he is so clearly has a lot of emotions coming out, which is rightfully understandable, but he's pretty poised. Like nothing he's saying is like uncalled for or not true.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a wonderful evening, okay, you stupid.
Can you explain to me? Can we meet, to talk about this? Is there something we can settle out, outside?
Oh yeah, that's what we can do. So I can give you a chance to do it to some other kid. Yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna do. No, Mrs. Amora, do me a favor. Do not call me back again. Do you understand me? Make sure you tell your husband what's going on.
Side note, in a later report, it says that Brittany reassures Adam's parents that she's not pregnant and that she's very clean from STDs, which, like, what kind of reassurance is that, lady? I believe she even tries denying a picture that she sent, a nude photo, because it doesn't have her face in it. But the dad tells her pretty bluntly, I know where your birthmark is, okay? I know where your birthmark is. So by this point, the parents know that he's been essayed. Their son has been essayed by their teacher. They know that these messages have been taking place. Inappropriate pictures have been sent. They're about to file a police report, but they're on the phone with Brittany and her husband. They don't know the exact details of when these incidents happened. They're going to find out soon, but they know everything that's happened, the crimes that have taken place. And now Daniel, the husband, is getting on the phone. Brittany's husband is on the phone. There's almost this level of frustration that you can feel Adam's dad having, because it's like, how are you not getting this? His fist is clenched. His wife is recording this. So we have this whole phone call. We FOIA'd the phone call, and he's just saying she's a monster. Like, do you understand that? Do you understand that? Dude, be smart, you stupid ass. Leave. Kick that bitch out of your house. And Daniel's like, listen, man. No, you listen. You're lucky that my wife is standing right here, you stupid fucker. Talk. You got 30 seconds. Which, side note, Adam's stepmom whispers at one point, he might be a pervert too. Talking about Daniel.
He is right here. Can he talk to you?
And he continues, talk. You got 30 seconds. Don't waste my time. You have the nuts to call me and now you don't want to talk?
So, man, look, this whole situation is crazy. I've never heard of anything like this in my entire life, and I'm sure as a parent, you gotta be livid, pissed, downright hurt.
Stab this motherfucker.
You trust the system, and honestly, this sucks as a husband. As a husband, I am distraught. Let down. I understand, and I'm sure as a husband, you know how this would do to you.
Well, dude, see, the thing is, I don't get what the monster.
I know, God, it's the worst for me. I'm pretty much throwing up. She's confided in me and told me just now all the truth, and it's man, I'm shaking.
Which, side note, when he says, I am shaking, I don't feel like he's shaking. I understand that everybody processes shock differently, but I feel like this is my reaction to an Uber order getting canceled. It doesn't sound shaken.
Well, explain to me what she's told you.
As a man, I can't really.
No, I want to know. You said she confided in you. Let me know what she told you so I can tell you she told you everything. Let me know if she told you everything. Grab some nuts and talk to me like a man. What the f*** did she tell you she did to a 13-year-old boy?
To be honest, it's more of just the messaging. And
oh, so she didn't tell you everything then. Oh, man.
I mean, I'm hearing it from you, sir. I'm hearing it from you.
Well, you ain't gonna hear shit else from me. Not a f***ing thing.
So what I'm asking you is if you could possibly, Brittany has been a great teacher for a long time. 5 years, she's done so much for so many students and raised so many people's lives from the ghetto.
That's literally what he says. Like, don't even get me started on that.
Wow.
She's been to, parents' homes to talk to students. She's really done the tutoring program. She's done so much, and she made a huge mistake. The biggest mistake of anybody could ever make in the whole entire world. But she got invested in a very, very, very bright, smart, and great student.
He's trying to spin this. Like, Brittany got invested in your child because he's so great. Which I'm sure he is, but what?
Yeah.
What kind of advertising, manipulation, scheming?
honestly, and a great person, and probably comes from y'all, honestly.
He's like marketing her
What
crimes.
is happening right now?
You probably don't even want to hear my voice, and I wouldn't want to hear my voice either.
I'd like to hear your voice when I got my fucking hands around your throat.
Man, you can put your hands around my throat, man. I probably would accept that right now.
You wouldn't be able to stop it.
It'd be welcome. It'd be more than welcome. This is the shittiest situation in the world that any man could ever be in. As a husband, how would you feel if your wife did this to you? You'd probably kill somebody, because...
No, I'd call the cops, bro. The thing is, the difference between me and you is, bro, is that I don't get with women like that, my man. I don't do it. My wife's a good woman. She raised good kids. And your wife preyed on one of my kids. Do you understand what a 13-year-old boy did? Having sex with a teacher? Do you get that at all? You're asking me to forgive.
I don't think they had sex.
I'm not even getting involved with this. You'll know the truth in a few short days. Trust me, I know everything. I know absolutely everything.
And with that, he hangs up the phone. He calls the police, Adam's parents do, and a whole investigation begins, and it just gets messier. There are 2 main interviews that are done, one with the victim, Adam, and then another hour-long interview with the victim's best friend. The interview with Adam, you don't see him because obviously his identity is protected, but he just sounds so young. There is like a certain cadence that children have. Obviously, some people don't shed it for a while. There's nothing wrong with it. But the way he answers questions is incredibly childlike.
Tell me about a couple things that you like to do.
I play football, write, and draw.
The authorities are just trying to understand, okay, how does something like this even happen? Like, she's had to have a certain level of grooming already established in order to send these types of messages to the victim. And they're wondering, how did you guys even start messaging? Mm-hmm. There's this app called Classcraft. Classcraft is supposed to foster a positive school climate and educational outcomes. It's a message board. You can message your teachers and ask them one-on-one about questions of homework, under the presumption that this is a well-monitored communication forum. And likely nobody uses the chat function to do anything but ask questions about school or class times, because let's be so real. What teacher wants to talk to their kids outside of school hours? And what student wants to talk to their teacher outside of school hours? Unless there's a problem with schoolwork. But Brittany tells her class one day, I'm going to be out of school tomorrow. You guys are going to have a substitute teacher, and I'm just going to be really bored. So if anybody else is bored, you guys should message me on Classcraft. It's not about an assignment. It's not about their project. It's just, I'm bored. Mm-hmm. Adam messages his teacher that day, hi, Mrs. Zamora. And she texts back, hi. She starts asking him these weird questions. Would it be weird if I sent you a winky face? Adam said that he was confused, and he just responded, no, it's just a winky face, LOL. And Brittany responds, I'm bored. LOL, I am too. Come over. And he says, on my way, car emoji. But obviously JK because he's 13. And
that's crazy. That's how it started?
Yes.
Wow.
Eventually, they start talking about the school dance, and Brittany is asking Adam if he's going to the school dance, which he just casually responds, I don't think I'm gonna. I might though. And she responds, oh, Salty Bay. Calling herself Salty Bay. From there, Brittany guides the conversation and she moves everything onto Instagram. Adam says, I don't remember how it got like really intense, but we would flirt and she would say things like, oh my God, I love you. And I would say I'd love her too. And then she would talk about how she wanted to do stuff with me. And I would tell her that I wanted to do that too. He says, yeah, we would flirt a lot. Like we would be at recess and I would talk to her. We would flirt at recess. But then the principal kept getting all these reports of an inappropriate relationship going on. Wow. And he said they were all just rumors and that he told them that they can't flirt or, well, I guess he didn't say flirt. They can't talk during recess because it feels like Brittany Zamora is picking a favorite.
So they were do this in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And people are reporting because this is that bad.
Not only are people reporting, so the students some of them are reporting it to Principal Tim Dickey, but some of them are even messaging Brittany Zamora on Classcraft. There were like 3 girls, students, 13-year-olds that were messaging her saying, if these rumors are true, like this is a gross use of power and you should really be ashamed of yourself, blah, blah, blah. Like telling her.
And the principal, Tim Dickey, was, like he was trying to protect what? Zamora or the reputation or the school image, whatever it is, right?
There are a few netizen theories, and maybe it's a compilation of all of them. Some people think that Tim Dickey finds Brittany Zamora conventionally attractive, and maybe he was blinded by that. Other reports say that Tim Dickey's reputation could have been on the line because he was an assistant principal at a different school, got promoted to principal at this school, this final school where it happened. And the first person that he hired from that other school that he used to work at was Brittany Zamora. But that could also be, I don't know if that's because she's a great teacher or if perhaps her conventional attractiveness was, you don't know, right?
Yeah. Wow. But either way, he brushed it off.
Yes.
That's crazy.
He just thought, naturally some teachers will inevitably have favorites, and she is being unprofessional by showing that to the other kids. In today's digital marketplace, getting started with your small business can be overwhelming, to say the least. When my family and I wanted to sell Grandpa Mingo's limited edition art, we were at a complete loss trying to figure out the online side of things. We wanted to make sure that the customers felt safe checking out with us online, that it didn't look sketchy or feel weird. I mean, thankfully and honestly, we couldn't have launched the business without Shopify. Shopify is an all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow a business. Shopify is the #1 checkout on the planet, trusted by millions of customers worldwide and trusted by business owners, including myself. Not only do they make checkout secure and safe for your customers, Shopify's Shop Pay can boost conversions by up to 50%. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Selena Gomez's Rare Beauty uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/rotten, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/rotten to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/rotten. As for the physical assaults, Adam says it started with her kissing him after school one day.
And then the first time we kissed, I was saying bye to her and I gave her a hug and she started kissing me, so I kissed her back.
He says we were doing a talent show thing, and yeah, it was when I was saying bye.
And then she was kissing me and everything. And she was like, you want to go in? And I was like, what? And then she was like, you want to go in? And I was like, sure. And then the same thing, I didn't take my pants off or anything, but she was wearing a dress, so she just pulled her underwear to the side. And then I was in there for a minute, and then I was I was all right, I gotta go.
It appears that he is trying to explain that she forced him to digitally stimulate her. It appears. He continues, she said she wanted to give me a blowjob and my stuff was really big and stuff like that. He's telling the police interviewer all of this. And the interviewer has to keep asking him, what stuff do you mean? And every time he says it, he just hesitates and he whispers really shyly because he's 13. Peanut. He doesn't even like saying that word. In the interview, they go over all the other instances that she wanted him to meet up with her. He says, I told her that I was at my grandparents' house and she said, let me come over. And I said, LOL. And then I put these heart emojis. And she was like, no, I'm serious. I was like, okay. And she came over. I went to her car. She was parked on the end of the street. She texted, okay, I'm here, I'm outside. And I walked to her car. And that is where she essays him for the first time. I think at this point, people were expecting that because we already knew that she had essayed him. So they're just trying to get the details of when and how it happened. I'm not saying it's not unsurprising or it's expected, but it's when you already know the balloon popped, now you're just trying to figure out how the balloon popped, right? Well, I don't know if the balloon is a great analogy, or the cake dropped or something. You get it. You already know this event took place. Now you're just trying to figure out how it took place. But the interviewer, I don't think that she knew that this part happened, because Adam starts describing, they have this thing in class called CNN 10.
I'm sorry, you had this thing called what?
CNN 10. It's a thing that my whole class watches. And I would pretend I would go up there and press play. And she would stand behind me and I would touch her. Because everybody would be in the front.
They're in the classroom.
That's freaking insane.
And then according to Adam and another witness, she would have Adam stand behind her desk. And because he's 13, he's, not that tall, I guess. His private part would be below the level of the desk, and she would pretend to drop something or pretend to look for something under the desk, and she would, quote, touch his stuff. There's a whole classroom full of kids.
Wow.
I mean, how could they be so bold? Because they have a lookout. A boy, Adam's best friend, let's call him Brady, he's also interviewed, and he said,
because our whole class watched CNN 10 on the big screen. Ms. Moore always want me like to cover to see like if anyone's looking.
And they would ask him, was Mrs. Zamora saying anything? They were just doing it. It was very uncomfortable. So that's why like the second day they were doing stuff, I just left the room. He says, yeah, we tried to tell Mr. Dickey. Mr. Dickey came and he talked to us saying, well, you guys as students should stop saying these rumors and talking about like, how can we solve this situation by next time we hear rumors like this, tell the principal, or solve it by telling the teachers. We wrote on a piece of paper how to solve the situation of rumors.
What does that mean, we wrote on paper?
Like, next time I hear rumors, I will do this.
That's so sketchy. I feel like this principal is way, like,
Yeah.
I feel like he needs to be investigated or something. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very sus that he doesn't even alert Adam's parents. It's one thing to think that it's a rumor. Fine, right? I think it's your weird opinion. I don't agree with it. But you should still at least alert the victim's parents.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what's been going on at school. These are the rumors that have taken place. I just want to give you guys like a heads up in case you've seen anything. Or alert authorities to investigate, because like, you're not an investigator. It's just so weird. He also doesn't even put Brittany on leave so that they can investigate further. He doesn't do anything. He just takes notes on his investigation, which at this point are as useful as like keeping a diary. He also just tells Brittany to stop spending so much time with Adam, and that's about it. But the best friend, Brady, he continues in the interview with the police that Mrs. Zamora started asking him weird stuff too.
And then Ms. Zamora asked me if my thing was uncircumcised or circumcised, and I didn't know what that means. So Ms. Zamora went on her phone and looked up uncircumcised and circumcised things, and she showed me.
She also asked if he wanted to see nude photos of her as well. And he says she didn't touch me or anything, but by all accounts, it seems like she's prepping him to be her next victim. And he is 11 years old. He can't even properly explain the things he's witnessing because he's that young. He kept stating that Brittany and Adam had sex. Now, the officer has to ask him what that means to him, to which he says, it's like they kissed. He also confuses the word virgin and Virginia. And this is like Brittany's next alleged target, potential target.
11, what grade is that?
So they're in 6th grade. Adam is 13, wow. So he might have been held back for a year or two, but...
Wow.
As for why, I mean, Adam's parents want to know, why did you do this? Why risk your whole career and your marriage for what? And she just responds, I asked myself the same question. I just got really close after everything went down, and we're like, how could that happen? We just got so close. I don't know. They arrest Brittany Zamora. There's body cam footage of this. And when they're taking her in for arrest, they're taking off all of her jewelry. And she asks the police, do I have to take off my wedding ring? As if she's so in love with her husband. It's so weird. Mm-hmm. Then right to when she's being taken in to be questioned, she asks if there's any way she can talk to her husband. They say no. They take her into their interrogation room and they ask her all the pertinent questions. You know, did they tell you why you're here? Did they tell you why you've been arrested? It's involving a relationship with Adam. I mean, I guess I just want to give you an opportunity because there's really little doubt on what happened. And she says, can I have an attorney? You can. Is that what you want? Yeah. Will I be going home today? No. They tell her she's going to jail, to which she says,
I'm little. They're going to tear me apart.
You know who else is little? 13-year-olds, 11-year-olds, to which the officer just straight up tells her, yeah, I mean, if you have problems with somebody, you can voice that to somebody. And if you have problems, they can isolate you. And she starts sobbing. I just have the best husband in the world, and I'm so ashamed. I mean, I do believe calling her a pick-me is the nicest description I can use considering her crimes. But she has this moment where she's arrested. She's handcuffed behind her back, and she has to get into the back of the cop car. The cop is like, here, like, let me help you. I know it's a big step. I'm going to help you.
I know it's a big step.
I'm only 5 foot.
Okay.
Wow.
Even when they set bail, they ask her, is there anything you'd like to say? And she goes, I guess I would just really like to go home and be with my husband.
Will I be going home today? No. So will I be in jail?
And so for a moment, because of how much Brittany harps on how much she loves her husband whilst R-wording a 13-year-old, I thought maybe there's a chance that Daniel did an Olympic level of mental gymnastics to somehow believe that she did not do this. I don't know. But authorities found text messages between Daniel and Brittany while Brittany is on the phone with Adam's parents. And he's texting her, cry, seem helpless, be apologetic, a ton. Don't say anything incriminating no matter what.
The phone call you just described.
Yeah.
The whole time Daniel was like, man, you gotta understand.
Mm-hmm.
God preaches forgiveness, man.
And then there's more. Brittany responds, he wants info. He's still asking. He keeps saying to tell him that he already knows. So it appears like maybe he had come home, you know? And he says he's not recording. He's still asking me what happened. He says, don't even hint around anything or agree. Of course he's recording. Say we have to meet because you want to tell him face to face. That's the right thing to do. Tell him you do not feel comfortable over the phone. I know he's not going to like that, but be firm. Do not be gullible and tell him anything. Don't admit to any relationship because we both know there isn't one and nothing happened. Just stupid fantasy texting that went too far. Call me after. Even if he gives you an ultimatum, don't say anything, Brittany. Insist on meeting. He hates you and wants nothing but to burn you to the ground. Remember, I'm getting worried. What's going on? Please don't be stupid and admit he won't meet you. He's recording. No way. Don't believe it. Why can't he meet then? Please, Brittany, don't say anything. What's going on? Tell him that you're going to the school right now and that you have to hang up. Hang up now. Don't say another word. He's going to fucking kill us if you say anything, Brittany. Also, who says he doesn't change his mind? He will say one thing now and you over later. God knows, if anything, or admit fault, he's got us and you're going to be done. I think the usage of us is interesting.
You know, Brittany sounds just extremely, extremely dumb.
And so, obviously evil.
Yeah, evil. But he's like, I don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah. He doesn't sound, okay, so a lot of people thought that he's the biggest simp husband in the world. But this doesn't sound like a simp husband.
Yeah.
And also,
if you're a simp husband, when you find out about this news, wouldn't you be devastated then?
I guess they're trying, like some netizens feel like this is him trying to protect her at all costs because he's a simp. But I think the usage of us is weird.
What's the context again?
He says he's going to fucking kill us if you say anything, Brittany. He also says don't admit to any relationship because we both know there isn't one and nothing happened. Just stupid fantasy stuff. That also feels like it's weird.
Yeah.
Like you never really say like we both know. If you really both know.
And you're saying that he found out about everything just now?
Like that day, yeah.
That day, and this is his reaction?
It's very weird. Everybody in this is weird.
It's very weird. It's not normal. This is not a normal relationship.
And that's not to say that Brittany's not at fault. You know, I do see some netizens conspiring that maybe he was pushing her to do these things. I don't really care if he did or not. I think she's the one that did them. Like if my husband was trying to convince me to do anything like that, I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to go to the police station and then I'm going to go find a divorce attorney. That'll be my 2 immediate steps. So, I mean, I don't care. This is not to diminish her responsibility. I'm just saying those are some netizen theories out there. While all of this is happening, the authorities come to do a search warrant on Brittany's house and Daniel is outside. The officer just asks, probably for protocol, you guys have no kids, right? No, sir. I wish now. This is in the middle of Brittany, your wife, being investigated for R-wording her student. What do you mean you wish you had kids? I mean, you want to have children around your predator wife? Even the cops are doing a double take. Like, why do you wish you had kids now?
Yeah.
Oh, so I can have like, you know, I don't know, all of what's going on and I don't know what's going to happen right here, you know? So I can have a little more like pieces of her. Basically saying if she goes to prison, he can have a piece of her.
What?
Daniel keeps going. Brittany has been an awesome teacher for a long time. She won Teacher of the Year. Really? Straight A student all through high school, college, bachelor's degree, and her master's. Ah, that's awesome.
She's interesting. She's been doing so many good things for so long. For the students and the school. She's been really invested.
It's so weird. Some netizens are confused. Some think Daniel is as dense as a forest, or some think that he's somehow involved or knew or got off on what Brittany was doing. Some people point out she would sneak out in her car in the middle of the night to go meet up with the 13-year-old. She's married. She's a teacher. What excuse would she have to go in the middle of the night?
Let's say he just simply loves her, right? But then you found out the love of your life is a monster. doing these type of crimes. The fact that you still love her, like into this level, like, oh my gosh, she's the best, she's the best, she's the best. How can you still think she's this perfect wife or whatever?
So crazy.
So that says a lot about him too.
Yeah. And he probably should also not be around children then, because like you think your love of your life is fine after what she did to a child.
Yeah.
You should not be around children. But very quickly, Brittany divorces him in prison. Some sources state that it's because she was trying to protect their assets, because right after all of this, Adam's parents file a lawsuit against the school board, Tim Dickey, as well as Brittany's husband. And he's listed on the lawsuit. I think it was like a $2.5 million lawsuit. They did settle privately, but maybe it's to protect him from, I guess, division of assets because they're no longer together. Some people say, no, it's just Brittany moving on. He stood by her during the entire trial. Other sources state that she was actually very upset with him and felt like all of this was his fault because he kept telling her to tell Adam's parents to meet up. And some sources say that she believed that got her more years in prison versus just like talking to them frank, admitting, confessing, and being remorseful. Really interesting crossover. But the judge that presided over this is the judge that presided over Jodi Arias' trial, also assigned to Brittany's case. But nevertheless, in a statement to the court, she starts, "Good morning, Your Honor. I want to start off by apologizing to the victim and his family. I'm sorry for the undue stress or pain that I may have caused. I'm ashamed of my actions, and I'm completely remorseful and truly regret what took place. I'm known to be a caring, responsible, happy, and thoughtful person." Which, like, sometimes the truth slips out in really almost unnoticeable ways. She says, "I'm known to be," not "I am," which I thought was interesting. The rest of the statement is more of her talking about how great of a person she is.
Prior to this incident, I have been an amazing teacher and citizen. I started programs while teaching to help stop bullying, teach girls about nutrition, fitness, create fundraisers to help with autism, and help families in need.
I filled out 25 plus desks with school supplies each year, and even won Teacher of the Year award in 2016. She asks for leniency in her sentencing. If that isn't already bad enough, her attorney, just like hook, line, and sinker, let's go down together. Her attorney states that because Brittany's father abandoned her when she was 13, she was struggling with anxiety, depression, and OCD. Her attorney states she's a great candidate for rehabilitation. She wants to change her life, and she's already started that. I have represented Brittany Zamora for almost 16 months, and I can tell you that she is not a monster. Brittany is not a predator, and this was not between a young child and Brittany. This was a teenager.
Wow.
There were issues with this case. For example, Principal Dickey refused Brittany's request to move the teenager out of the classroom. Brittany Zamora implored Principal Dickey to move him because the teenager had boundary issues and was obsessed with Brittany.
Whoa.
I am not making that up. I learned that from Principal Dickey. Odd things that were outside of the evidence that you probably all received. She goes on to just victim blame in a bullet point list. Adam's family filed a civil lawsuit within hours of finding out what happened. So what? Adam had 2 cell phones, trying to imply that he's not the nice little kid that you think he is. Okay, he's still a kid, and so what? He had multiple social media accounts. Okay, so do I. And he had behavioral issues. She's just talking, opening her mouth and letting all sorts of thoughts spill out that she should have just kept in her drafts, in her notes app. Because of how ridiculous she is. Everyone in the room is staring at her like this woman cannot be serious right now. Yeah, defend your client, do your job, but what? She confronts everyone. "I see some of your faces frowning."
And this was not between a young child and Brittany. This was a teenager. The teenager had boundary issues and was obsessed with Brittany. The teenage boy was very aggressive. He even was very persistent in asking Brittany about her birthmarks, molars, or anything else that could be an identifiable piece of information.
Trying to imply that the kid is like forensically trying to get knowledge on Brittany to pin her to the crime that she so clearly committed. She also proceeds to read a statement from Brittany where she says, where Brittany, the child molester, says, "Good afternoon. My name is Brittany Zamora. After going through the court process for the last 16 months, I can truly say that I have been unfairly treated by the state of Arizona. It's shocking to me how others are so quick to judge based off hearing accusations from only one side of the story. It was made clear to me that the state had already made their decision well before I was given a chance to prove my innocence in any way, shape, or form." She goes, girl, are you not tired? She goes on to talk about how she did these risk assessments, psychological tests, evaluations, and polygraph tests that all showed her to be the highest degree of character. I don't ever think that I have seen a polygraph test where the results just come back highest degree of character. Like that's not even an option. Moreover, I feel like a risk assessment test in terms of evidential value, very low compared to explicit photos she sent him and testimony from the victim. They also try to argue that her polygraph shows that she does not have an interest in children. Again, I don't know what we're trying to get here. The argument just diminishes the validity of the polygraphs. And if that's not the case, it just makes her look more sinister because she's able to pass a polygraph when there is photographic evidence. And with that, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The school board and Tim Dickey settle outside of court with the civil lawsuit, but I guess they stand by their decision. Tim says he didn't want to blow it out of proportion, what he thought were just rumors, by alerting Adam's parents. They said that they conducted a 2-day investigation and deemed nothing inappropriate was happening. They have less sense than children. The 11-year-old, Brady, he says, it's just weird how a 27-year-old can love a 13-year-old and stuff. It's just crazy. She's not a good person. Adam's dad says, if we didn't have the app and we didn't take all the necessary steps, we would have never known that this happened to our son. And how much longer could it have gone? And how many other boys would she have done this to? They say it's affected Adam individually. It's affected our family dynamic. It's affected his behavior and his schooling. It's disrupted his schooling. It's disrupted his living situation. We had to uproot our entire family and move. His childhood is already gone. He's 13. He's going to miss out on so many important emotions and feelings when it comes to relationships with women for the rest of his life, all because his trust was betrayed by a 6th grade school teacher. I'm also angry at those who say they think this abuse like this of a woman on a young man is somehow less serious than if it happened to a girl instead of a boy. Every child, no matter their gender, deserves to have their period of childhood free of monsters. And there truly are monsters in the world. As parents, you teach your kids that there's no such thing as monsters at all. There's none. But in the real world, there are monsters. And Brittany Zamora is a monster. What's crazy is there are so many netizens defending Brittany Zamora. They say, when I was 13, we were smoking cigarettes, drinking, and making other people pregnant. Some of us even carried around knives and messed around with other people. Yeah, 13 years old is young and is wrong, but stop making the 13-year-old look like an 8-year-old. I think for her to get 20 years is insane. If that's the case, you need to increase prison time for other crimes as well that are even worse. Others just write, every male middle schooler's dream. Another reads, damn, I wish she was my teacher. I would have said nothing. Or that's the funnest extra credit assignment I've ever heard of. I will say most netizens are not on Brittany's side. I don't know how true this is. This is just an internet comment. But someone writes, she was a TA for my English teacher in 5th grade. I vividly remember a male classmate blatantly hitting on her, like the TA, Brittany Zamora, multiple times. And she would just say things like, oh, thank you, you're so sweet, instead of telling him to stop and how it's inappropriate. Signs were there. She was a creep. What are your thoughts on this case? Let me know in the comments. And stay safe. I will see you guys in the next one.